Patricia Mukhim from Meghalaya, editor, the Shillong Times. I've listened to the figures, and I think the figures speak for themselves. But we also need to understand, in the context of the northeastern region, that we haven't transited very well into democracy. We're still bound by very strong cultural myths. It's very difficult to come out of them. Just because we're voting every 5 years doesn't mean we've become very democratic, or we know, the nuances of elections. And I think for us, tradition is the biggest impediment. We have very positive sex ratios, but that does not necessarily translate into greater empowerment for women. And I think women really lack the resources that they need. Uh, Financial resources is one, because elections are getting costlier every year. I don't know what the Election Commission is doing, because last time I reported to the Chief Electoral Officer that money is being distributed from a particular point, and so will you please come and do the needful there, but they didn't respond. And I think, to me, the Election Commission is just looking at conducting elections smoothly, and not creating too much of a fuss over any other thing, because then they get a good report for themselves. I think that's a major flaw in the Election Commission. So our women need their capacities to be built, and I think it's important for them to learn to articulate as cleverly as men are doing, which we don't often do. Also, I think what's needed is to form a caucus of women aspirants to politics, and to craft out a very strategic action plan, because we need to be different. I think if we just follow the route that men have done and try to be like men when we are contesting elections, it's not going to take us too far. I think very often we do not have the ability to communicate our views. We are very good in small groups, but the moment we stand up in a big election platform, we tend to get a little, I don't know what to say, but we tend to be a bit diffident, on really taking on the electorate. And to me, I think we also need to have better organizational capacities, because when we look at the way we organize ourselves socially, when we're in NGOs or pressure groups, we do quite well, but we do not really have a political platform for women, because political parties will not allow that to happen. They will not even give you tickets. So I think these are some of the problems one finds, the practical problems. I think Mona will add to the rest.
Yeah, I'm Monalisa Changkiji from Nagaland. I'm editor Nagaland page. Yeah, okay. Do I repeat or it's okay? Yeah. Pat started off by saying that despite everything, we in the Northeast have not transited very well into democracy. I agree with her, but I'd like to take it a little further and say that actually in the Northeast, particularly in Nagaland, the Constitution of India prevents us from transiting into democracy, particularly in Nagaland, as I said, and for instance, in the form of Article 371A, and I think Manipur has, Mizoram have their, their own these little articles which keep us, back, within that. No, we don't have sixth schedule in Nagaland, but not about the schedules as much as the way they see us as some kind of anthropological creatures, and yeah, and they want us to remain that way they want us to develop, they want us to get into democracy, but they want us to carry that baggage, and I think that's something which they are trying to do now to people in Andaman, Nicobar, and things like that. So that is where, to me, that is where the problem starts, because we have this Article 371A, which a lot of Naga men feel. Sorry, is something wrong?
Mic is near something. Right next to you.
Okay. So, which a lot of our Naga men feel that Article 371A supersedes the rest of the Constitution of India. And that is one of the problems that we've been having. They feel that the rest of what the Constitution says should be, subservient, subsidiary to, so this is one problem we are having. I don't know where to start, and as far as I'll start in the middle. As far as these elections are concerned, so far we have been talking only about the civic bodies, the urban bodies. We have not even talked about the state assembly. Forget about parliament. Although we did send one woman MP in 1977, but that was we were in school, and what you call class 11 and 12, now those days we used to say pre-degree, first year, second year, whatever. So not very clear, but then I suspect that that was the year Mrs. Gandhi lost, and not too many Naga men were willing to come to parliament. They all want to be chief minister and whatever minister in the state. So it was convenient to send this very, smart, admirable woman, and she came and braved it out here and made history. Now, what happens is that one of the problems that we have had is that, you see, we have these little village councils, the village republics, which is actually a body that is recognized and protected by the Constitution of India, Article 371A. Now, a constituency consists of several villages. I mean, in rest of the country, you'll talk in terms of towns and cities, but for us, it is villages. Now, the guy who has the best chance of winning is the guy who has the approval and endorsement of maximum number of village councils. Yeah? Village councils consist only of men. So the decisions are made by men. So the men decide which men they are going to put up and who will represent them. It takes a lot of money to get such endorsements. Yeah. Now in the ULB elections, this is the urban areas, and our biggest urban town, Dimapur, which is the commercial industrial hub of Nagaland. We have one airport, one railhead, will be a small suburban of Delhi or Mumbai, okay? So, and the rest of them are just, urban areas, villages just spilling out, and, you have a little bit of urban facilities and all that. So what happens is that in these urban elections, there are no village councils or no group of men who can nominate. Here, I as a woman will say, I'm going to stand for elections. Yeah? I don't need to get the approval of my village council or her village council. Yeah? Men don't like that. The tribal bodies, which have been making a lot of noise, starting off with the Naga Ho-Ho, the Hangami Public Organization, the Ausandan, etc., are not constitutional bodies. They are NGOs. They are civil societies. Article 371 does not protect them, does not recognize them as traditional Naga bodies. But these are the people who are making noise. They want to have a say in which woman can contest or men. Yeah, they want to control. One of the reasons they have been able to persuade, actually, if you see this opposition to 33% reservation in our ULBs was not so much from the villagers. Villagers were not really much bothered about it. They have nothing to say. They were not even against it. It was these people, you know, in the tribal bodies, with one leg in the village, one leg in the town, who started creating these problems. And how they manage to persuade our village leaders, village councils, is through the platform of land ownership. See, almost all our urban areas are built, have grown up, have been established on land given by villagers. So villagers are the landowners. Yeah? So that is another aspect. So this is you know, that whole control thing. One thing that has not gotten enough attention, and for which people like me and Patricia, or since she's also from the Northeast, and she knows a great deal about Nagaland, is, you know, we are guilty of, is the fact that the way those people who filed their nominations for ULB elections that was scheduled for February 1, both men and women, the way they are still being hounded. Some of them have already been exiled for 30 years. Some of them have been exiled for 10 years, depending on which tribe you know, you come from. I was still, even the other day, you know, I've been like sort of, I visit my home these days because I'm most of the time in Delhi or else we're talking about these things. So recently when I visited my home, the local papers carried, you know, we have one group of, you know, tribal body. They make the youth wing work. Excuse me, do these kind of things, saying that they are not allowed to live in any land within the jurisdiction of that tribe. Now, there is no land in Nagaland that does not belong to one or the other tribe. Government hardly has any land, and that is also one of the reasons why we cannot have development, because the government cannot give land. Yeah? So it is all owned by the thing. Now, I mean, don't you think this is highly unconstitutional? Human rights abuse, violations. And this is something I would like the rest of the country, I would like New Delhi to be talking to, with the government at the center and talking to the government in the state. And the state government has not uttered a single voice in defense of these people who are being hounded. In our culture, in our tradition, in our customary laws, you can exile a person. But what are the crimes? Like rape, murder, heinous crimes like that. Definitely not for filing. Yes. And you see how customary laws are being twisted, distorted to suit so-called liberal democracies. Yeah, your agenda of, you know. So these are the issues that are happening now. I can go on and on, but I think I shall put a comma here and then you can ask me questions later. Yeah.
Sir, this gentleman, in fact, I'm quite surprised at the vehemence with which you presented your point that we don't need, or we shouldn't need reservation, because we also need to see who has said this. If somebody who said it comes from a position of privilege, then obviously they won't need it. But we need to go down to the ground and see just how, you know, how patriarchy has kept women at a certain position for millennia. And what we need is actually retributive justice. That's what we're asking for. And coming back to the 73rd and 74th Amendment, I'm sorry to say, but in this country, there's a lot of ignorance about the ground realities in some of the regions. When this was implemented across the nation, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Nagaland were left out of it because we were told that we have our traditional institutions, they're very vibrant, they work well, so you don't need further empowerment. But they didn't realize that women are not at all, they don't figure at all in these institutions, including in matrilineal Meghalaya, which is, which is romanticized as the land of where women have a lot of say and all that rubbish. But actually we don't. We cannot hold office in the local traditional institutions. We still cannot. We are fighting to, but there's a lot of resistance. So if we do not get a footing at the local traditional village institutions, how do we just jump into the legislature?
Yeah.
Mahatma Gandhi thanking Sarojini Naidu today. So she's right. You better take her seriously.
I'd also, I'd also like to, our friend here, you'll find great friends among some of our Naga men. I know you talk about Sarojini Naidu, who didn't want, and I don't want to get into what she has already said, no reservation to preserve the dignity of women and all that. What exactly is the dignity of women? You keep them out of decision-making processes, bash them up at home, deny them proper nutritional, rights. I mean, what dignity of women are we talking about in the Indian state and in the Indian society? Yeah, and this is exactly the same kind of argument our men are saying, are putting up against this. That why we women want to reduce ourselves to the level of men by asking for reservation. I think we have some of the most twisted minds at work here. Now, talking about the dignity of women, and Shami has talked about equal opportunities. See, again, Patricia has said the same thing. I want to also reiterate it. See, when women, whether it is Naga women, Kerala women, Punjabi women, whatever, we are not, we are not allowed in the decision-making process, which is a very patriarchal construct. That women are, women have to take care of the kids, the food, the home and all that. So leave these things to men. It has become institutionalized. And we are fighting that now. Okay. So what happens is that we will not get an equal opportunity till we break down this, this institutionalized patriarchal construct. So, I mean, it's fine, we talk about so many things, but there are so many circles within circles. In Nagaland, we've had a couple of very brave, about 3-4 very brave women who contested in the assembly elections. And, they, almost all of them, perhaps except for one, almost all of them lost their deposits. Yeah. And these are women, particularly one woman, she's a retired principal director of the health and health and family welfare and things like that. And this is from my district constituency where we have the highest rate of, literacy. Every other girl you meet is a PhD in something or the other. So how come, you question such things? And now, Madhu, I wish you hadn't started me off on the church. I really wish you hadn't. The church is the most patriarchal institution, especially among all over the world. Yeah? Yeah, I am talking about the church because Madhu has gotten me started on this. So you will see that the politics, the overground, underground, and the middle ground politics of Nagaland and the church for one, they are all male-dominated. They are all male bodies. They blend in so well together. If you look at the patriarchal, value system, if you look at the church value system, there's a very happy, they feed each other. They support, they provide a support system, because our men keep on, quoting Bible quotes, where a woman is supposed to, submit to your husband. So you see, you're talking about the church this time, after so many things happened, at the fag end, the NBCC tried to broker a peace. Yeah? It didn't work out, it would have never worked out. They should not have got involved. If they had sincerely, genuinely wanted to get involved, they should have done it latest by November 2016, when people were already getting, all hotted up. Our local newspapers were full of threats, full of opinions, full of, everything against the 33% reservation. The church, at least by then, should have gotten into the act. Instead, it chose to talk about clean election campaign, which is something my paper have been doing for, we are going to complete 18 years now, ever since, at the cost of not earning revenue, because, we have this habit, I don't know if they have it in Meghalaya, but then whole group of people, they will give press release and they'll pay for it to say that I so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so support so-and-so candidate. I so-and-so, so-and-so, and then they will give their designations, whatever little designation, BA, LLB, and, what? IES fail, or whatever. They will give all that and say we support this party or whatever. So I say that, it has no relevance to, this is not, So I don't. There are papers they think, and you can earn good money during elections. But anyway, be that as it may. No, Madhu. The church is very much a part of the problem. Yes? It's very much a part of the problem, the church. People from the government service, the Nagaland government service, and probably some of them are even from the central service, they were seen with the tribal bodies during the protest, egging on the so-called mob, so-called youth. Young people were forced to enforce the ban. One of the boys who died on 31st, because the tribal body said that from every family you have to send. So in his family, he was the only boy. Yeah? Church has not mentioned a single word about that. Forget about the state government, even the church. They are trying to hide, to conceal. Okay, I think suffice to say that much. Now, when you're talking about the British, in Chota Nagpur, the land allotment the British had given, actually in Nagaland it's not like that. And I think it is not like that in Meghalaya and, excuse me, it's not like that in the northeastern states. Much before the British appeared, we already have our, our tribal lands. All tribes have our,
That I don't doubt.
has nothing to do with the British.
Even like the British never penetrated land administration is
No, but this business of village councils consisting of
No, it is not a British. No, that is nothing British. What the British did is that they co-opted the British, the village councils. But then it existed before them. And what is being practiced till now is what was practiced before the British came. Yeah? And so what the British did is that they co-opted the British, the village councils as a part of the British administration. a policy the government of India followed, continued, and it follows till now. So you see, the dual roles that the village council plays. At one level, I mean, I have talked with people from the election commission when they have come to Nagaland, and I say that if these are, if the election commission, they are part of the election commission, how are you allowing them to decide, who will contest? Yeah? Is it not contradictory? But there it is. To the point, the election commission is very well aware that a certain village council can say that we are supporting Mr. X, and therefore no other candidates can enter into our village to campaign. Election commission looks the other way. Yeah? Even in villages near urban areas like Dimapur, okay, the village council decides, they have set up little villages which the government recognizes. They have these little village councils, villages, and the village council says, well, women, elderly people, don't take the trouble. It is very tiring to be standing in line the whole day, so we will take care of it. So early in the morning or maybe the night before, some youths are sent, and the village council, maybe one senior will be there, and the votes are cast. Election commission knows about it. They keep quiet.
What about land rights? You mentioned
Okay.
in your article. If you could clarify a little more, expand on that.
Okay, which land?
Property rights.
Property, land belongs to the tribe.
That's right.
Okay, but it doesn't, tribe is a very,
So is
it belongs to the clans. Okay, it belongs to the clans. So in a village, you may have 5 clans, 3 clans, 6, 7 clans. And these clans, I mean, our Naga men and scholars, intellectuals, etc., they like to talk in terms of Nagaland, purest form of democracy, like the Greek city-states, blah, blah, and, no caste system, no class system, and all that. But in the village, you have the founding fathers, the founding clans. So the clan who comes first are the founders. They are the founding clans. They have more rights. They take the best land, and later the clans who come later. Do you know that the clans who come later, who have not been a part of that founding clans, they have to pay kind of, maybe in terms of those days, it used to be 1 rupee, 5 rupee, and hardly now also 10 rupee. But then it is to show that you are a latecomer. And the rights of the, the first comers and the latecomers creates divisions, and you are not going to get the best lands. Means your yield is not going to be as much as mine. So you see that whole thing of a rich man. We have traditions, in my tribe, we throw what we call feast of merit, which only a rich man can do. If ours was a classless society, why this feast of merit? Why are there stories, legend, folklore about a poor man in love with a rich man's daughter? Why the words rich and poor? Yeah, so you see, land belongs to the clans. Clans means only the males, not the women. Then, property. There are your ancestral property, yeah? Your acquired property and your gift. Ancestral property is normally in the village, so it belongs to the clan. Now again, there's problem there, because your father, say, there were 4 brothers. Your father is the eldest, then brother number 2, 3, whatever. So you see, there also, whose is what? Now it so happened that your father is older, mine is younger, but your father had only 2 sons. My father had 5 sons. So you see, nobody is going to, and who has the money to invest in the villages? Everybody is moving to the urban areas. Yeah? Now in the villages, you will just see old people and children that young couples cannot take with them, so the grandparents are taking care of them. Our fields are empty, unworked on. And the problem is the people that are migrating, they are taking the village culture to the urban areas. That's where another problem is being created. Okay, so you have the ancestral property. Then you have the acquired property. Acquired property is something you and your husband have bought during your lifetime. That again can be contested if your husband had not written down to whom what belongs before he dies. And if he doesn't, his brothers and nephews and cousins can come and tell you that, hey, listen, women are not allowed. Yeah. Men, this is educated people, have sued their widowed sisters-in-law on the grounds, the courts also, I don't know what is wrong with the courts, but that is another topic. On the grounds that, my brother was sick. He was dying of cancer. He was not of sane mind. And my sister-in-law, yes. So, you see, these things are happening. There are women who are single women, who have studied, somehow in government schools, government colleges. Today they are teachers, doctors, engineers, whatever, maybe an LDA in the office, whatever, managed to save, take loans, buy a small piece of land, buy a second-hand car, and then after 2 days the brothers come and say that, hey, listen, you know that Naga women can't own property? These things are happening. It's only that we are not talking about it, or rather we are not recording them. Yeah, I've just given a book to Shami. It's, we say village, but then it's whether village or town, it's more or less the same thing. And so this is happening. So then you have the gift. The third category is of gift. So the best thing, the safest thing a man can do is to, before he dies, gift it to your son, your daughter, whatever. And just because your son, just because you're a son, don't think that it will come automatically to you. Because again, as per customs, the elder uncle is there, this, that, because even right up to your bunduk and your dao and your your dekchi, what do you call the pot, of the man, it goes to the eldest brother, then the uncle, then by the time it's your turn, sorry, you might not even have an enamel cup left for you. So these are the, and there are always people contesting. But ancestral property is what, the gift and the acquired is different by itself. What I have been and what a lot of us we have been talking about is the ancestral property in the villages. Even our brothers cannot take it. Even our brothers cannot, they are owners, but they cannot, and they will not spend a single buck to invest in it. What we are saying, nobody can take it. It's lying barren. But if you believe that we daughters are same like your sons, say that the ancestral property belongs to all our children, irrespective of boys or girls. We just want the name. Progress is happening among some of the clans, some of the tribes, where they are giving patches of small land to women in the villages to work on, not sale, but then you work, use it, and women are working on them, growing fruits, vegetables, whatever, and our men and these villagers are now discovering that these women are changing the economy of the villages. Yeah. So this is happening because, listen, at the end of the day, none of us are going to put that piece of land in our coffin and take it away. But to use it. Now, the other thing one last thing I want to tell you is about these women, about who contests or politics, whatever. I see one of the criticism that our men, some of our men, have been making against women who are for the ULB elections, that they are either divorcees, Yeah, single women, divorcees, and that category of women. Interestingly, especially in my tribe, we have this concept of what they call, I don't know if there are any Ao men here, they'll be able to explain better, because it seems to be a very man thing, what they call amitsar. At best, I can translate it into a manless woman. Yeah, you understand? So these are the women creating problems. Yeah?
But all major female politicians in India have been manless women.
So you see.
The widows, Jayalalitha, not married.
Yes, so you see,
Friendship became important after.
so you see what are, very old, traditional, uneducated, backward, whatever tribals, Naga tribals, have been saying for centuries, yeah, is coming now true in the form of Jayalalitha, Mamata, whatever. So we tribal men are right. These menless women. You get the point?
It's meant to be derogatory. I mean, it's really
Yes.
The whole point is meant to be derogatory.
Yes.
That the fact that you're entering public life means you are basically a loser.
But then how many married women with kids can enter into politics? Would her husband allow? First, would he help financially? Would he provide the emotional support system? Yeah? Your husband comes and says that, he's contesting, and he says that this evening some party workers are coming, cook dinner for about 100 to 100 people. Okay, you arrange. So you say, fine, you're the wife, you are going to do it, that's your duty. You are contesting and you tell your husband that 50 people are coming, your husband will give you a tight slap and chuck you out of this house. That is a reality. Yeah? Whether it is in Nagaland or in Haryana or wherever. This is the truth. And you think that women don't need reservation, even with reservation, number one, they are against reservation. Yeah? Then the other argument is that if we have reservation, it will be the wives, the daughters, the daughter-in-laws, the mistresses and the lovers of men who had to give up the seat. Hey, why isn't anybody talking about dynastic politics? I mean, that's the only word I can think of. I mean, we know of people whose grandfather was there. Yeah, the son was there, now the grandsons are sitting there. How is it? The uncle is keeping the seat warm till the boy graduates. Yeah? How is it we are not talking about that? We are only talking about the wives, the daughters, daughter-in-laws, and the lovers and the mistresses.